Villains rarely need a reason to turn to evil other than simple greed. They want something, they don't want to work for it, so they take it. In the world of superheroes, it sometimes involves the extra step of creating, discovering, or acquiring powers or weapons and a colourful costume to conceal their identity. For some people, however, their lives are visited by such extreme hardships and such harrowing circumstances, it's little wonder that they want to make someone pay for what happened to them. And it's those characters that we're here to talk about today, as I'm Josh from WhatCulture.com, and these are 10 shockingly dark origins of comic villains. Number 10. Dexter. Dexter was a blue but otherwise ordinary house cat named Dexter. His owner was a single woman, and he loved her as much as she loved him. Someone broke into their home one day, and despite the loyal cat attacking the intruder with both teeth and claws, he was unable to prevent the brutal murder of his owner. When the police arrived, Dexter was chased from his home because they didn't want him destroying any evidence. The sad cat found a place near a dumpster to sleep, but a couple of punks tied the animal in a sack and threw him into the river. Rage filled the tiny cat's heart as the bag sank, and that rage was felt across the cosmos by Atrocitus, who offered to induct Dexter into the Red Lanterns as Dexter, an offer which the enraged feline agreed to. Empowered, Dexter makes the two men pay for trying to drown him. He then flew to his former home and cuddled next to the corpse of his deceased owner. The angry cat told her that he was a good kitty, and he would find who did this to her and kill them. From there, he eventually joined his new owner, Atrocitus, as one of the most brutal and ruthless members of the Red Lantern Corps. Number 9. Morbius. The intellectually gifted Michael Morbius was born in Nafplio, Greece. The boy lived an isolated life due to a rare blood disease, but had two friends, Emil and Liza Nikos. In college, Michael and Emil won a Nobel Prize for their scientific work in biochemistry. Their attempts to cure Morbius's disease included electroshock treatments and fluids extracted from vampire bats. The treatment turned the poor man into a pseudo-vampire, who needed blood to survive, and gave him many traditional vampiric powers, including strength, flight, and a healing factor. It also flattened Morbius's nose, and turned his skin a ghastly pale white. In his bloodlust, he killed his friend Emil, earning the animosity of Liza. Morbius travelled to America by ship, and killed the crew along the way due to his bloodlust. He took refuge at a beach house and attempted to kill himself, but failed. Then he encountered Spider-Man, who was suffering from having 6 arms at the time. They battled it out, but were interrupted by the lizard. Michael bit the lizard, partially returning him to his Kirk Connors form. The Doctor then realised that the vampire's blood could cure both him and Spider-Man, and they captured him long enough to extract his blood, though Morbius broke free before the pair could offer to help him with his disease. Number 8. Clock King. William Tachman spent most of his life in the role of good brother, taking care of his invalid sister. At a routine doctor's visit, he learned that he had only 6 months to live. Terrified about what would become of his sister, Tachman diligently studied the timing of the vault at his bank so that he could rob it to provide for his sister's future. His planning was meticulous, and William would have succeeded if he had not clumsily tripped a silent alarm which brought him to the attention of Green Arrow. Tachman's sister died while he was in jail. To add insult to injury, William's own diagnosis was a mistake. His doctor had mixed up records with another patient. The Clock King tried to get revenge on Arrow, but Oliver had little trouble dealing with the clock-face villain. The Clock King sadly became something of a joke in the villain community. He joined Major Disaster's Injustice League, which Maxwell Lord transformed into the Justice League Antarctica, and that team would have died if not for the goofy but occasionally effective Green Lantern, Nort. William and the rest of the group did die, except for Booker, when they were forced into the Suicide Squad. Number 7. Apocalypse. En Sabah Nur was born more than 5,000 years ago in Egypt's Valley of the Kings. His grey-skinned appearance caused his tribe to fear him, and they abandoned the baby in the desert. A nomadic group called the Sandstormers killed Nur's original tribe, and their leader Baal took the child as his own, and gave him his name. The boy grew strong and intelligent, and embraced the tribe's philosophy of survival of the fittest. Rama Tut, one of Kang the Conqueror's many alternative identities, ruled Egypt at the time. Baal took Nur to a sacred cave, where they were trapped by a cave-in. After days of wandering, they discovered Tut's crashed ship in a tomb. Before he died, the nomad told his son that he believed he was foretold to overthrow Rama. The mutant eventually found his way out, and into the hands of Logos, Tut's Grand Vizier, who was planning to kill the pharaoh himself. The treacherous advisor kept him hidden as a slave. Nur took the name Apocalypse and defeated the warlord Ozymandias and his soldiers. Rama-Tut had hoped to recruit the mutant to his cause, but failed. The pharaoh tried to use a depowering gun he had used on the time-travelling Fantastic Four on the Egyptian mutant, but it failed, and he fled into the time stream. Number 6. Bane. Bane was born in the Penaduro prison on the island nation of Santa Prisa. Due to Santa Prisa law, the child inherited the life sentence of his father, Sir Edmund Dorrance. At age 6, his mother died, and he watched as her body was tossed from the cliffs around the prison. The young boy learned to build his body and mind at an early age, keeping a knife in his teddy bear. He also found teachers and mentors who would aid him to achieve his personal goals. Bane eventually became the king of the prison and controlled much of the population. The actual controllers of the prison were angered by this and feared the now huge man, so they forced him to take part in the experiments that they were conducting with the mystery drug Venom. It nearly killed him, but the strong-willed man survived, and the drug enhanced his already considerable strength to superhuman levels. The newly enhanced villain broke free with a few others, and travelled to Gotham for the purpose of challenging Batman. Bane was fascinated by Gotham, as a city ruled by fear of the Bat. He began by challenging some of the Dark Knight's rogues, like Killer Croc and the Riddler, before cracking the walls of Arkham Asylum wide open. His path to the Gotham Guardian was inevitable. Number 5. Dr. Doom. Victor Von Doom was born to a Romani family in the small Baltic country of Latveria. His mother, Cynthia, was killed by Mephisto when their deal went wrong. His father, Werner, was a healer who was called on to save a noblewoman. When he failed, her husband swore vengeance. Werner took Victor and flew to the snowy mountains. The father succumbed to the elements, but the boy survived and was found by his dad's friend Boris, who became Doom's most trusted lackey. The brilliant immigrant won a scholarship to State University in New York. There he met Reed Richards and Ben Grimm, and took an immediate dislike to them. Doom became obsessed with creating a machine to free his mother's soul from Mephisto's realm. Reading Von Doom's notes, Reed noticed a mistake in his mathematical calculations. He ignored Richards' warnings, and the machine literally blew up in his face, slightly scarring him. Victor was also expelled for conducting unethical experiments, and Doom blamed Richards for all of this. Victor travelled the world and located a small village of monks in Tibet. They assisted him in creating powerful armour, and donning the faceplate before it had fully cooled, he truly scarred his face. Doom returned to Latveria, overthrew the government, and declared himself ruler. He also gave himself a doctorate from Latverian University so that he could be called Dr. Doom. Number 4. Mr. Freeze. To escape the horrors of living with a brutal and controlling father, young Victor Freeze became fascinated with freezing animals. His parents sent Victor off to a strict boarding school, and promptly forgot all about him. Freeze was cut off from most of humanity until he met a gorgeous athlete in college named Nora. The pair fell in love and ultimately married. Victor, happy for the first time in his life, taught at a local college in Gotham. But Freeze's happiness was short-lived when Nora contracted a rare form of cancer. Desperate, he quit teaching and took a position at drug conglomerate GothCorp to find a cure. Freeze discovered a way to put Nora in cryostasis, using company equipment until a cure could be found. Ruthless GothCorp owner Ferris Boyle found out and pulled Freeze's funding. A struggle ensued and Victor was doused with his own cryo formula, and Boyle left him for dead. Freeze survived but could only live at sub-zero temperatures. Victor escaped and spirited Nora's chamber away with him. Creating an outfit to keep his body super cool, Freeze took the name Mr. Freeze and began committing crimes to fund his work. He has attempted to get revenge on Boyle, but was thwarted by Batman. Number 3. Galactus. Galactus was Galan, a scientist on the idyllic planet Tar, in the universe before the current 616 universe. That universe was near its last end, and was undergoing a big crunch, where all the energy of the galaxy would be compressed until the next Big Bang. Galan and others travelled to the focal point of what was left, but only he survived. The embodiment of that universe, the sentience of the cosmos, merged with Galan to create the being Galactus, destroyer of worlds. He and his ship exploded into the new universe along with the new embodiments, Eternity and Infinity. Drifting for eons as the new universe began to form itself, Galactus eventually used his power to create a suit of armour to house his energies, and to reshape the ship into an incubator to evolve over thousands upon thousands of years. Emerging from his metamorphosis, Galactus consumed the nearby planet of Archaeopia, with only some of the population escaping in time. He reconfigured his ship into the solar system size Tar-2. It was a century before he needed to feed again, but that time period became lessened. Galactus would only feed on uninhabited worlds at first, but eventually the Destroyer appointed heralds to find any world to satiate his hunger. Number 2. Doomsday. The creature that would become Doomsday was an artificially created being made to be the ultimate life form. In its earliest days, Krypton was a harsh hellscape, and the perfect laboratory for the alien Bertron. He and his team sent a baby out into that world, and it was killed immediately. They harvested what was left and used it to create another being that was immune to what had killed its previous iteration. Bertrand named his creation Ultimate. After decades of this process, Ultimate could evolve independently and grew to hate all life. When it discovered the scientists, it killed them as well. This being encountered Zaran Pel, took his Green Lantern ring, and discovered the Guardians of the Universe. Hundreds of Emerald Knights opposed the creature and were killed. A Guardian was forced to sacrifice his life to finally kill Ultimate. The death of that Guardian opened a hole in space to the planet Calaton, where Ultimate fell. It ravaged the planet for 3 years, until the final members of the royal family fused their essences together to become the Radiant. It killed the creature and they wrapped and chained it up, then shot it into space. Ultimate landed on Earth and was buried miles beneath the ground. It escaped and fought the Justice League, decimating the team. Booster Gold gave the creature the moniker Doomsday. Superman was Earth's only hope against this rampaging monster. Number 1. Magneto. Jewish Max Eisenhardt was born in Nuremberg, Germany. In school, he became attracted to a young Romany girl named Magda. Attempting to escape the growing Nazi party, his family moved to Poland. They lived in the Warsaw Ghetto in 1940, where Max worked as a smuggler. He was eventually captured and sent to the Auschwitz concentration camp. There, he saw firsthand how human beings treated those who were different. After some time cleaning the cremation furnaces and watching family and friends die, Max was reunited with Magda and saved her from execution. The pair escaped to a village in the Carpathian Mountains. They married and had a daughter named Anya. Max adopted the name Eric Lenscher to fit in among Magda's people. Eric moved his family to the Soviet city of Vinnytsia. His powers hadn't manifested at puberty due to a case of hepatitis, but they did come to the fore when he magnetically hurled a crowbar at his boss for refusing to pay him. By the time Eric returned to the place his family was staying, it was on fire, with Anya on the top floor. KGB agents held Eric down, preventing him from saving her. Lenscher lashed out, destroying the men and a large portion of the town. A newly pregnant Magda fled in fear of her husband. Now truly alone, Magneto was born. So there we have it, folks, 10 shockingly dark origins of comic villains. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments down below if you did. You can follow me on Twitter @PanelsToPixels, subscribe to What Culture Comics, and we'll see you next time.